Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our November webinar. This month, we are looking at UK Rail. We are very fortunate to be able to have a guest presenter today. So Rail Plus, if you didn't already know, has an office over in Auckland, and you maybe sometimes speak to these guys when you call through to the phones. And today we are having Jack help us out. So Jack, do you want to say hello?
Good morning, everybody. How are we all doing?
So Jack works in our Auckland office, but as you can tell by the accent, he is from the UK. And the reason he is here today is because he did actually work on the UK railways. So he has the most knowledge out of, I think, anyone. And we're going to learn all about UK Rail. Don't forget that we will send you out the video at the end so you can share with your colleagues. We'll also have the video up on YouTube and in the agent resources. And while we are doing the webinar, please send through questions that you do have, and we'll either answer them at the time or maybe towards the end. So I'm going to hand over to Jack now, and then you'll hear back from me at the end. But thanks so much again for coming to the webinar today and listening in, and get ready to learn all about UK Rail. So Jack, all yours.
Thanks, Nikki. Good morning, everybody. So today we're going to talk a little bit about the UK Rail and try and cover everything, all of the top topics that we've got. So we're going to go through the rail geography of the UK, then we'll move on to tickets and reservations. We'll go through to classes of travel, then we'll take a few questions from yourself, which I'll be able to answer as best as I can. So we'll kick off. First of all, we're looking at the geography. So we've got a map here of England and Wales. So these are the main train lines. There are many more, it's really extensively covered, but these are the main lines. Now we've pointed out a few of the key places where passengers will either want to go to or change. In particular, you've got London to York on the East Coast line, which takes around 2 hours, and on the same line, London to Edinburgh, which takes about 4.5 hours. And then we've also got London up to the Lake District, which takes about 3 hours or so. In London, we've got some key stations noted here. Now, a lot of our passengers travel into either Heathrow or Gatwick when they're flying in, the most common being Heathrow. So I'll make a few points on that. If passengers fly into Heathrow, they've got two options to get into central London. They've got the Heathrow Express, which travels every 15 minutes and takes around 15 minutes to get into Paddington, which has first and second class on it. The other option they can take is the Piccadilly line on the Underground. Now this takes about 50 minutes or so to get to stations such as King's Cross, but this is the dark blue line which you'll be able to see on the screen, and travels direct from Heathrow into London. Now the benefit of this is that passengers only have to catch one train to get to King's Cross, which is where the train goes up to the north of England through to York and Scotland. Whereas if passengers go to Paddington, they've then got to get on the Underground service. Overall, it takes about the same amount of time when you put in the change, and if passengers have luggage, this is a really nice trick for them to be able to get to King's Cross really easily. So it's always worth keeping in mind that they can do this. The only thing is about the Underground, it is only in second class. So moving up to Scotland. In Scotland, we've got two main cities, which will be Glasgow, which is the largest city, and Edinburgh, which is the capital city. So the West Coast Main Line, which is Virgin Trains, runs out of London Euston and travels up the west coast of England, up into Scotland and up to Glasgow. Similarly, Edinburgh, being the capital city, travels from King's Cross Station and goes up the East Coast Main Line through York and Newcastle into Edinburgh. Between the two cities, you can get a train. There's around 10 an hour, so it's really well served, and it takes around an hour or so. So if a passenger wants to go to both, they can spend a bit of time in Edinburgh and easily do a day trip to Glasgow and vice versa. So moving on to BRITRAIL passes. So what do we offer? There's a really big choice of these here, which we've got listed down below. So you can see that the most common ones we sell really are the BRITRAIL Flexi Pass. So that covers the whole of Britain and is flexible, so they can have, say, 5 days within a 1 month period, and so forth. Also the England Flexi Pass, doing the same thing but solely for use within England, and the Southwest Flexi Pass, which is really popular as well, and that's covered by the yellow lines in the southwest of the map there. We also offer passes simply for Scotland as well, and for London, which are really useful, but the most common probably is the BRITRAIL Flexi Pass that we sell. So the benefits of a BRITRAIL pass, it's quicker by rail. So in reality, if someone's flying from city to city, it takes a long while simply because they've got to go through security and get to the airport. Whereas if you're travelling by rail, you can go directly city to city. It saves a lot of time on travel. It's flexible. So when you travel with a BRITRAIL pass, you don't need to book ahead at all. You can just turn up and travel on the day. And reservations don't cost a thing. So they're complimentary with your BRITRAIL pass. They can only be booked locally, and the benefit of this means that they are completely free. What I'd recommend for reservations is that if a passenger is doing a few journeys, to take their reservation list with them. So write these down beforehand, go to the first station when they validate their pass, and they'll be able to do all their reservations for them free of charge. There's also unlimited travel per day with a BRITRAIL pass. So rather than a point-to-point ticket, which just does the single journey with no doubling back on themselves, the BRITRAIL pass will allow passengers to travel as much as they like within a day. So they can do round trips, or they can go see a few different places in the same day at no extra cost. So at the moment, we've got a really great offer, which gives 20% discount up until the 22nd of February 2019. This applies to the consecutive and flexi BRITRAIL pass, the England consecutive and flexi pass, and the Southwest consecutive and flexi pass, and the Spirit of Scotland. This means that travel has to be completed no later than the end of February. So if passengers are travelling soon, it's really worthwhile doing with that one. So we move on to the point-to-point ticket types. There are 3 types of point-to-point ticket in the UK. 2 of them are flexible. 1 of them is for a specific train only, which we'll move on to next. So the 2 types of flexi ticket are anytime, which means it can be travelled on any time that day and any time the following day for a single use. An off-peak, which is a flexible ticket for use with a few restrictions. These are often before 9:30, the passengers can't travel, and on an afternoon between 3 and 7 p.m. No seat reservations are included with either of these ticket types at all, and all point-to-point tickets are instant purchase in the UK. So the advanced tickets that are offered are for a designated train only. So these can be up to 80% cheaper than flexible tickets. So there's a massive saving to be had, and it's for a booked train only. So if a passenger wants to book these, they can book them up to 90 days ahead. If you're looking for 100 days, 4 months ahead, you won't be able to see these ones. You'll only be able to see the most expensive tickets. So it's always worth waiting till we're within that 90-day booking period to see whether we can get a cheaper ticket. These aren't available before that 90-day period, so they won't sell out and you won't lose out by waiting. These can't be changed by us, but they can be changed locally. However, if the passengers wait until arriving locally, it's very expensive to change these tickets, so it's often a lot cheaper to just purchase another advanced ticket simply because of the low cost of them. Again, these are instant purchase tickets, and as I mentioned, always book within that 90-day booking period to get the bargain. Seat reservations. Seat reservations aren't compulsory in the UK. You don't have to have a reservation to travel. These can be made locally with the exception of advanced tickets, which come with the reservation already preloaded into it. And as mentioned before, these are completely free. We recommend making a reservation locally if you are travelling between those peak times, which I mentioned before. So collecting tickets. When we sell a ticket, it comes with a PNR reference. This is eight digits long with letters and numbers. You can go to any ticket machine in the UK and collect these. So if you've got 5 different bookings with 5 different PNRs, you can collect these all at once. So these are called a TOD locally, which means ticket on departure. And if you land into the airport, say Heathrow or Gatwick, these can be picked up there or at any main station. The ticket machines have really easy to follow instructions, and they come in different languages as well. But the easiest way that I say for passengers to do this is to go to one of the staff desks, hand over the PNR reference or references, and they'll be able to issue them all at once for you. So classes of travel in the UK, there are only 2 classes. We've got first and standard class. Some of the regional trains don't have first class accommodation on them and only have second class, such as the one in the picture there. That's more the short distance local journeys. On the longer journeys, first class does include a complimentary meal and drink, and standard class will have a trolley service retailing food and drink there. So we'll go into a little bit more depth. So in first class, we've got an at-seat service, free Wi-Fi on most trains, lounge access at some of the major stations with flexi tickets, larger, more comfy seats. We've got fewer passengers and complimentary offers such as snacks and soft drinks and meals and alcoholic drinks on longer distance trains. This tends to be journey times of over 60 minutes. In standard class, there's a trolley service retailing snacks and drinks on the longer distance services. You've got basic seating, more passengers in each carriage, and we've got Wi-Fi on some services which may be chargeable. So a little slide about LNER. This is the company that I was lucky enough to work for before coming out to New Zealand. So they run up the East Coast Main Line in the UK from London King's Cross up to York, Newcastle, Edinburgh, and then on to Inverness or Aberdeen. Got some of the average journey times there as well. So as mentioned before, York is around 2 hours, Newcastle 3 hours, Edinburgh 4 hours 20 minutes, and Glasgow 5 hours 55 minutes. These trains depart roughly every half hour to an hour, and they're really well served. It also goes up to Leeds, which is in the north of England as well. So there's two classes of travel on there. So you've got in first class reclining seats, more space. You get the morning papers, free Wi-Fi, and complimentary food and drink as well. The food menu is actually designed by celebrity chef James Martin, so it's really high quality of food. The food that you get on this service and others is available as a full menu on weekdays. However, on a weekend it is a reduced service and often consists of snacks and crisps, and alcoholic beverages are only served on weekdays and not before 10 o'clock in the morning as well, which I'm sure you can understand why. In standard class, there is the food bar, which is a cafe bar on the train to purchase food and drinks from. There's reserved seating. We've got priority seating for elderly or disabled passengers. Quiet coaches for those that don't want to be around people on their phones or such. Power sockets are available, and there is the trolley service going up and down the carriage, as you can see in the picture. One thing to note with LNER is that from December this year, they are going to be launching their new trains, their brand new trains. These are called Azuma, A-Z-U-M-A. So these will be the newest trains in the UK, coming straight from Japan. Azuma means east in Japanese, which is fitting for the East Coast Main Line, which they'll be running on. So if any passengers want to travel on the newest and the best trains, this is where they can find them. Okay, so I'll pass back over to Nicki for the next couple of slides. Thanks, Nicki.
Awesome, thanks, Jeff. So if we just jump out, so what we're looking at here is a website enhancement that we have done recently. So I just asked Blaze to add this slide in just so everyone knows about it, because it seems that not everyone does. So earlier in the year, we created the multi-city search function on our website. So you can see in the background there, we have 7 sectors. And once you press search on that, you'll be able to search all those 7 in one go. But next to the search for trains button, we have the copy routes button. Once you select that, the little box there will pop up. And what you can do here is you can either copy the standard link, which would just be your to and froms, or you can copy the complete link, which will also give you times and dates. So if we're looking at a UK itinerary and they're doing 4 or 5 different journeys and they've decided that tickets are the best option for them, you would know with instant purchase, of course, that you need to have money on file. So what I would suggest you do before you get the quote and close the tab is click that copy complete link, save that link in an email, quote, sticky note, wherever you need to. And then whether it's a day later, a month later, or a year later, you click on that link, the website will open and it will reload and auto-populate everything you've typed in. So basically the aim of this is to make sure that you guys as agents are spending less time staring in front of the screen booking rails. So the multi-city search would turn a 7-segment itinerary like this, booking from an hour into 10 minutes. But also as well, if you do need to retype those city pairs that you're looking at, all you need to do is click on a link and they will be there straight away. So just remember that it is there. You will have to modify the booking and grab the link from the copy routes button before you close the page, but do use it because it is super, super handy. So we do have a couple of questions coming through, but we also have a couple of luxury journeys in the UK as well. So we had our Great Train Journey presentation webinar, which you can always go back and look on. And most of these products are also covered under our Rail Expert training. So the Rail Expert training is still running. So if you do want a little bit more information on these, you can obviously go on the website, but the Rail Expert Great Train Journey modules are there. So we have, of course, the Venice Simple and Orient Express, and this goes from London to Venice. Between London and Venice, they travel on the British Pullman. So they'll go down from London, and once they get to the Channel, they'll then go on a luxury motor coach through the Channel. So if your clients are interested in the Venice Simplon, they can do that either from London or Paris to Venice. But if they don't have the time to do the Orient Express, or maybe it's not for them, the British Pullman is a beautiful 1920 Art Deco service. It does day trips around the UK. So they'll have their Brighton departure, the Bath departure, and clients can travel in this area in luxury, silver service, and have their meal and drinks included. So they are 1920 carriages. Some of the departures will be steam trains, and when you look at the timetable, you can see it says Golden Age of Travel and then Golden Age of Travel steam. So the ones that are on steam trains, you'll be able to see steam in the route wording. It's a really good option for anniversaries, celebrations. If anyone's from Melbourne, I'd like to almost compare it to the Tramcar restaurant, but nicer. So it's, yeah, basically a beautiful journey that travels along the English countryside. The only thing I will mention is often we have clients look at this departure too late. So the departures are not super frequent. They may only be once a week. So if they are interested in the British Pullman, just make sure you're looking at that timetable early before you book them in or out of London to make sure it fits with what they want to do. We also have the Grand Hibernians. This is our luxury train in Ireland, and there's 2, 4 or 6 night itineraries with this one. And then we have the Royal Scotsman, which has a range of 2 to 8 night itineraries up in Scotland. So they're our Great Train Journeys, and remember, you have the direct phone number for the Great Train Journey team, the direct email address. You'll deal with the same person from start to finish, and we have had Alicia and the team who have been on both the British Pullman and the Venice Simplon. So if you have any questions about those, you can always let her know. So if you guys can go to the next slide. So please send through more questions if you do have them. But while Jack was talking, I was just making a couple of notes, and these are things that often agents mention to me when they are booking. So first of all, he did mention the BRITRAIL promo, but just remember that they do need to purchase it by the 22nd of Feb, but it is an off-peak promo, so make sure they finish their travel by the end of February. I thought Jack's top tip was great about seat reservations. So, and about advanced purchase fares. So just a reminder that, yeah, those advanced fares only come out, will only display when they have actually been released for sale. So I know typically we tell you guys with Europe, if it's early and it's there, book it, it'll be the cheapest that it is. But unfortunately, the UK is a little bit different. So you are looking for the wording advance when you are looking at the fare, and if it does display, then it means those advanced fares have been released. So Jack, we were talking about this the other day, but if you've got one train that doesn't have an advance and another train that does a little bit later, it doesn't mean that first one is getting one. That's right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So with an advance purchase ticket, they do tend to be released at the same time. So it's worth just having a look and making sure you see that word advance on there.
Yeah, so if the 9 a.m. doesn't have an advance and the 10 does, it doesn't mean the 9 a.m. just hasn't been loaded yet. It means that it's either not available or sold out. So once you've got those advance fares, book it. Yeah, perfect. And also the anytime fares, they are ticket only. So if your clients are purchasing an anytime fare and they're traveling to the Chelsea Garden, to a garden show or to a big event where there will be a lot of people on that train, just remember that doesn't guarantee them a seat on that service, because the anytime fare can be booked on any train. So they either want to get their advance fare, or once they arrive into the UK, then they want to go to a station and reserve a seat with their anytime ticket, which of course is free of charge. So we also have more information about these different ticket types and the different ticket rules on the Rail Plus website under UK train tickets. So if you want to just have a bit of a reminder on the differences, they are there. Also, when Jack was talking about just collecting tickets with the TOD, it is super easy. One thing that sometimes I get questions about is it may ask for a credit card. This is just for fraud purposes. So it's just to make sure that if they rock up and they say someone's already collected our ticket, they can check to see who collected it. So it may ask them to insert a credit card. It's not charging them. It won't be like you weren't the person that paid for this ticket. It's just purely for identification purposes if they need it down the track. But we do, of course, have the guides that we send out with the tickets via email. Jack, do you want to just maybe overnight trains? I get a lot of questions about this out on the road. So it's not something that Rail Plus can book, but do you know off the top of your head where overnight trains run in the UK?
Yeah, so there's in the UK, there are only 2 overnight trains that run now. So you've got 2 departures on an evening. One of them goes from London Euston and goes up to Scotland. So it does go up to the west coast line and then splits off at Glasgow and will go over to Edinburgh and up the east coast. And the other half of the train goes up the west coast up to Fort William. So that's one of the trains. The other train goes from Paddington Station into Cornwall and ends up at Penzance at the far end of Cornwall. Both of these trains, the one from Paddington sets off at 23:45 and the train from Euston sets off at around 21:45. These are paid for reservations though, and these can only be done locally. So these you have to book the sleeper and that has to be done upon arrival.
Perfect. And I didn't even mention this to Jack before. I just literally put him on the spot and he already knew the departure time. So it's pretty amazing. The other thing so we've got a couple of questions, but the last thing I wanted to remind you guys about is the Eurostar. So of course the Eurostar runs from London to Paris, London to Brussels, but also now direct to Amsterdam twice a day, Monday to Friday, once a day on the weekend. So don't forget that direct London to Amsterdam service is there, 3 hours and 40 minutes for your clients to connect to Amsterdam. We also have the services to Marne-la-Vallée, Disneyland, and down to the south of France for either summer or winter. But we do, of course, have the promo. So for Eurostar at the moment, there are sale fares for travel up until the 3rd of April. There is also a incentive that we're running. So if you guys are booking Eurostar, and we can actually book the Eurostar until the first week of August. So those summer months are out. Eurostar is ready to take your bookings for summer. Until the 23rd of November, 23rd, 21st, for every $1,000 worth of bookings that your agency makes, so not per consultant, but per agencies, you guys will get a $50 Woolworths gift card back. So yeah, you can book all of your summer Eurostars now. If you have anyone who's been waiting for them to open, it is just London to Paris and London to Brussels that are open that far. If they are waiting for that Amsterdam route, then it's roughly 4 months in advance. But with the Eurostar, it's always good to keep an eye on it because all of a sudden they'll just jump their calendar dates forward and a lot will be released. So questions. So Larry, who is of course our Queensland BDM, who we love, has just reminded me to let you guys know where the multi-city search button is. So on the home page in the main ticket search box, it says one way, return, and then next to that is multi-city. So you can click on that to get the multi-city to display. The other way is in the blue line at the top where you've got all the tabs. Just click on the point-to-point ticket search and that'll give you the option to add or remove as many lines as you need. So our first question is for cruise passengers departing from London. What is your advice to book their journey from London to Southampton? Jack?
So travelling from London, they'd be leaving from Waterloo Station usually. If they're doing this and they want to book their seats ahead, it's worthwhile doing so just because they'll know when their boat's departing. The journey time does differ. There are a couple of different trains, some that stop at many stations, but I believe the journey time for this is around 90 minutes or so. So make sure they plan well ahead. There are very early morning trains and late night trains as well. If they're going to Southampton for their departure, book ahead. If they're coming back, it's worthwhile having an open ticket just because I know sometimes the boat does come in a little bit late, a little bit early, and they'll want to just be able to jump on the next available train. Of course, if they've got a BRITRAIL pass for this, that makes it really simple for them because they can jump on any train they like.
Awesome. So a couple of questions about the BRITRAIL pass. The first one is just in regards to seat reservations, or it kind of applies to both anytime as well as the passes. So if traveling in first class, How important is it to book seats, if at all? I know when I did the train from Edinburgh to London, Glasgow to London, sorry, a couple of years ago, in first class there was barely anyone there, but this will obviously change depending on the time of the day you're traveling, where you're traveling between, and obviously if there are any events. I just say if they're there early enough at the station, they can go to the counter and they can either just book it in, it's free of charge, or they can be told very quickly whether or not the train is full. But, you know, if they have the time, my suggestion would be just to go and do it, because they already know they're going to be on a certain train. Then at least if a bunch of other people are getting on with anytime fares, they've already got their seat booked. And then, can you use airport trains on the BRITRAIL Pass? Jack?
So I'll just make one note on the last, the reservation point, just so that you all know, when booking reservations, this can't be done on the day. It has to be done at least prior to 6 p.m. the day before travel. So if they are turning up on the day, they won't be able to book a seat there. So using airport trains on the BRITRAIL Pass, yeah, this is absolutely fine. The majority of airports in the UK are covered by a mainline train. The only one that you wouldn't be able to use this on is the London Underground, which I mentioned earlier, which goes on the Piccadilly line into central London, but it's fine to use on the Heathrow Express from Gatwick into London, from Manchester Airport, Liverpool Airport. It's fine to use on most of these. Those are the most common airports. For Newcastle Airport, there is a metro service that runs into the city, but from there, it's fine to use. Yeah,
and the passes would need to be validated.
That's right, and these can be validated at the airport stations.
Perfect. Sorry, ignore me, I'm just trying to find if there's any other questions. So Eurostar, so we mentioned that. BRITRAIL sleepers, yep, and that's done. Does anyone else have any other questions? Or Jack, did you have anything else that you would like to? Oh, sorry, one thing, another question I've just found, something we did fail to mention is just about sightseeing. So just a reminder that Rail Plus does offer a wide range of sightseeing in London. So we have all the basic hop on off passes, but we also sell a lot of skip the queue tickets to most of the major attractions. So skip the queue London Eye, skip the queue Madame Tussauds, all those things. They're definitely worthwhile from personal experience. I know obviously the lines of these places can be huge. So it's always good to be able to walk up to the front of a skip the queue ticket, and often they're a lot cheaper to buy them from here. We have Oyster cards. The Oyster cards are preloaded with 10, 15, 20 or 50 pounds, and we will send them out to you to give to your clients. So your clients will have them in hand when they arrive. All these sightseeing products, of course, are commissionable, so they're a great way to add your booking value up, increase your commission a little bit, and obviously your TTV on that booking as well. The ones I definitely do recommend booking early are the Harry Potter Universal Studios tour. It does sell out. So if you've got anyone mentioning this, get on it as soon as possible because it will sell out. So the sightseeing can all be found just in the sightseeing tab. You'll see that there's a lot that we have for the UK, day tours, transfers, so airport transfers we can book as well. We can organise transfers as almost like a full day hire if they need to. So if you have any questions about that and car hire, let us know as well. But most of them you can directly book through the website. Perfect. I don't think we have any other questions. Blaze is telling me that's it. So we do, of course, have the Rail Expert modules. So if you do get the 500 points by the end of the month and make some Australia Rail bookings with Rail Plus, then you may be in the chance to win a spot on the Garn Expedition for Mill that we're doing next year. But obviously there's a lot of really useful information in there on the UK with the normal rail lines and then the luxury trains as well. But I just wanted to quickly say thank you so much to Jack for coming in today and giving us some of his expert knowledge. And if you guys are on the phones, you may get a lucky chance to speak to Jack. Otherwise, if we have any questions, we can send them through to him and he can very quickly answer them so the guys on the phones can get you the right info. Jack, anything else?
No, that's great. All from me. Thank you. Thanks everyone for listening.
Perfect. Thanks so much. We will catch you guys next month. We will be doing a December webinar. We have a lot coming up between now and the end of the year, so make sure you're getting our weekly specials newsletter or keep up to date on the specials tab on the website. But thanks again, and I will chat to you guys next month.